Hello everyone. This presentation lays out the expectations for the first milestone for the TICP, the overview. Sometimes coming up with a good idea that you can build upon is really difficult. That is exactly what you'll be doing in the first milestone, coming up with an idea for your unit plan. Now, this is a high level thinking about the topic for your unit. This is where I want you to think of the TICP in its entirety. And you'll do this maybe only for this time for a short period before we take the plunge looking at each step of the TICP in more detail. Now, here are the questions that you should be asking as you work on this section of the TICP. What should be the topic of my unit plan? What does this unit focus on? How does it align vertically? In other words, what grade level should I target? How does it align horizontally? In other words, where does it fit into the overall curriculum for that grade level? And then, how long should the lesson be in terms of the number of class sessions? Now, you may not have a good idea now, but you can always come back and revise this once you've finalized your TICP. Now, let's talk about what goes on in the summary. You need to have a clear overall learning goal for the unit. In other words, what do you expect students to have accomplished in terms of knowledge and or skills by the end of the unit? You should start the summary with that statement. Here are some examples of unit plans with overall learning goals. This is a 2-week unit plan for grade 12 English on creating stories. The overall learning goal is students will use Google Earth, Google Maps to digitally explore a faraway place and write a short story about characters in that place. What I like about this learning goal is that it not only identifies the goal, but also clearly lists how they're going to achieve that, in this case, using Google Earth or Google Maps. Now, here's a 2-week unit plan for a grade 9 US history class. The overall learning goals or goals for this unit, in this case, are that the lesson will continue from our previous lesson, American Ideals in Gaining Independence. Students will learn the causes for westward expansion, this idea of manifest destiny, and the positive negative effects westward expansion had on Native Americans. What I like about this is that the goal connects with the previous lesson, something for you to keep in mind as you identify the learning goal for your unit plan. This 1-week unit plan is for a middle school choir class. The overall learning goal for this unit is that students, the unit was prepared for the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade choir classes, and all 3 classes will be working on getting concert ready and preparing for the speaking audition. This will include a cultural lesson for each of their pieces using PowerPoint and YouTube, and some singing activities to keep them engaged and to test their understanding of the lesson. Once again, that learning goal lists the goals and how they're achieving those goals. You need to summarize the unit plan into individual class sessions. Now, I understand that you may not have a clear idea of that right now. However, you can always come back later on in the semester and revise your summary once you have a better idea of how your unit plan will progress day by day. Here are some examples of that. Now, you don't necessarily have to have a bulleted day-by-day list. It can also be in a descriptive paragraph, such as in this one. And there's the first lesson, the second lesson, the third lesson, and so on. Now, this is a technology integrated unit. So you need to showcase upfront how you're leveraging technology. You have seen in the examples I just shared with you how technology was highlighted in each overall learning goal. I understand that you may not have a clear idea right now, but again, this is one of those areas of the summary you would need to go back and revise once you have finalized your unit plan. Now, once you have clearly identified the learning goals for your unit, then you should clearly list the tools and strategies that will be used to assess students for those goals. And this is also an area where you can illustrate how you're using technology to do that. Here's an example. In this grade 9 US history plan, the teacher will integrate many components of technology throughout this lesson, such as Cover It Live, Peer Deck, Google Docs, and Google Classroom. Cover It Live will allow my students to go into a blog and discuss the material as I'm teaching it. Peer Deck will also act as a PowerPoint, except I can control, and then the description continues. It illustrates how the teacher is planning to use technology to assess students. Now here's a unit plan for grade 3 English language arts. And in this one, the teacher will assess the students by having them create a book poster of the books they have selected to share with the class. These posters will include an image of the book, information about the book, what genre the book is in and why, and a QR code to link to more information about that book or author. Now the students will be using their iPads to open up the QR readers. Again, a very effective use of technology to assess the students and to enable them to assess each other. Now, you might be wondering why I'm making such a big deal about the summary. Well, as a former school principal, I can tell you that many employers may not have the time to go through your entire portfolio. They may just skim through the summaries instead. So it's important that you really polish your summary, because that may be the only portion your potential employer may have the time to look at. This concludes an overview of TICP1. Thank you for watching.